numbers, but then if you talk to people in the military, I talked to a young female lieutenant last week, that she said, look, this is existential. If these people don't come and fight, there may not be a country for them at all. So, it is a really difficult situation, and you can see why people that are risking their lives feel a little bit angry about people who are dodging it.
As the war in Ukraine drags on, fighting on the front line has taken such a toll that many Ukrainian men have resorted to hiding from conscription gangs. Many of those who volunteered at the start are exhausted. According to figures published by the Prosecutor General, 51,000 criminal cases were initiated for desertion and abandonment of a military unit between January and September of this year. It's more than double the figure for the whole of last year. Christina Lamb, the Sunday Times chief foreign correspondent, has been investigating this idea of finding more people to fight. Christina's with us now. Hi, Christina.
Hi, Callum.
Your article is quite disturbing, actually, because there are two parts of this. The idea that Ukraine needs more soldiers, but there are those who do not want to fight, and so they are literally hiding from those who are trying to force them to. Tell us how this works.
Yeah, so basically, Ukraine has not only a shortage of weapons, which we hear about a lot, but a shortage of manpower. Russia has 3 times as many population as Ukraine. And the fighting has been really difficult on the east this year. And there's been a huge toll in terms of casualties. So whereas when the war started after the full-scale invasion 2.5 years ago, you had a lot of enthusiasm and people queuing to join up. Now people know that if you go and fight, it's very likely that you may be killed or you might lose at least one limb. And so people were much less enthusiastic, not surprisingly, about joining. So earlier this year, in desperation, really, they changed the law so that everybody all men between 25 and 60 must register their details to be called up. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be called up straight away, but they have to be registered and available. And many people have not wanted to do that because they do not want to end up on the front line. So these gangs are going around anywhere that they think that there could be concentration of men, young men, going to gyms, they're going to wedding parties, they're going to shopping centres, to railway stations. And last weekend, there was a big rock concert, one of the most popular bands in Kyiv. And these vans of officers were waiting outside to check people's documents, and they dragged some of the people away.
Gosh, it's actually quite horrible to hear, Christina. I suppose there is something of an understanding of the military need, that Ukraine needs more people, but this is reminiscent of things that I suppose lots of us consider to be consigned to history, sort of forcing people to fight.
No, absolutely. And, I spoke to men who are in hiding, who haven't gone out for months. One of them told me that 80% of his friends that joined up have died. So, he does not want to add to their numbers. But then if you talk to people in the military, I talked to a young female lieutenant last week, that she said, look, this is existential. If these people don't come and fight, there may not be a country for them at all. So, it is a really difficult situation, and you can see why people that are risking their lives feel a little bit angry about people who are dodging it.
Yeah, so that's the view of those who are fighting. Is there a kind of societal pressure on the men who are hiding from fighting? Do they feel any sense of shame or pressure from others that actually they're doing the wrong thing?
I don't know, because some of them say, look, I'm not a fighter. Not everybody is somebody that's going to be good at fighting, that they are raising. Almost everyone in Ukraine is involved in some way in raising money and sending food to the front line, and helping to refashion drones so that they can take on, because this has now become so much of a drone war. So, it's very rare to find somebody who isn't doing something. And so some of these people would argue that what I'm doing is actually more useful, given my skills, than being on the front line. And actually, this female lieutenant I was speaking to, she said that some of the these people that are sent by force unwillingly actually end up dying very quickly. They're just because they're not really very, they don't know how to fight properly. And so, there have been people within the army saying, is this such a good idea, sending people who don't want to go?
Yeah. It's totally fascinating, Christina, and as I say, it's somewhat distressing as a concept. But it's good to speak to you about it this morning. Thank you very much for your time.